If we can have opportunities where the female young leaders, maybe just after school, are groomed far better, and maybe they're groomed alongside the males, there would be equal opportunities and the world would benefit.
I think the more you see female leaders emerging, it creates more hope and it creates more confidence and just inspires a whole generation that, that could be us too.
What I think as females, what we lack is networking. Maybe because we have other conflicting pressures coming from personal side of it.
Women are playing a growing role in the economy, and that's true also of finance to a certain degree. And in the studio with us are three female leaders in finance who are also members of the accounting body ACCA. And we're here to talk about women in finance, the future of women in finance. And let me, as I introduce them, let me also ask them about what they do in finance. And first, I'll start with you, Sajindu Perera. Sajindu is the Deputy General Manager of Finance at MAS Intimates. Now, MAS is a large manufacturer of ready-made clothes, Sajindu. At the same time, we've seen through the data that Sri Lanka's exports have been growing. Is this growth also reflected in MAS?
It most definitely is. We were recognized as Sri Lanka's Export of the Year in 2021. So that definitely goes to show. And I think the industry can do well as long as the companies in the industry do well as well. So I currently lead the management information team and business partnering teams at MAS Intimates Finance, where we focus on providing end-to-end solutions and creating value across the business.
Sure. Buddhi Pathiraja is an associate director at BDO. Now, we know BDO as an accounting firm, but you work for the consulting side of the business, Buddhi. What does that mean? What do consultants in accounting do?
So, usually accounting means auditing. But we, in consulting, we do everything other than auditing. So, corporate finance or advisory are the other words that we use, and we deal with due diligence, business valuation, strategic planning. And very simply put these days, if you want to sell a company, you come to us. If you want to buy a company, you come to us.
So you value companies and also you help companies raise finance in public markets?
Correct. That's correct.
Chamindā Silva is the executive director of SLASSCOM. Tell us first, Chamindā, what SLASSCOM stands for.
It stands for the Sri Lanka's Association of Software and Services Companies.
Brilliant. So you are an umbrella body that brings together Sri Lanka's software and services exporters, and help us put this into context in terms of how the industry is doing. Right, we've heard talk about potentially a global recession. How does the industry view the future? Since you have a overall view of how software industry sees the future, what are you learning from the industry?
So I think the whole outlook, not only in Sri Lanka but globally as well, software industry and services industry has great growth potential, because even during a recession, people look at reducing costs, meaning headcount, and everything is digital. So growth is looking forward, it's going to be good for the industry.
Okay, so the two exporters on the panel are very optimistic. I mean, you've certainly seen results also, I think, in 2021 and also 2022 with exports keeping up or growing significantly. And I'll come to you, Sajindu, as we start, right? And this is necessarily not a question related to finance, but the company you work for, MAS, employs a lot of females, right, in general, right? Yeah. Coming from a company with such a background, how does the company and how do you, working in that company, view the agenda for female advancement in general in the workforce?
I think you captured it quite well. Our biggest strength lies in our people, and I mean, as much as we look forward to digitization, innovation, and all aspects of it, the heart of the company is its people, and females make the biggest representation because it's an apparel manufacturer at the end of the day. Our journey in terms of women empowerment is not something that is started in the recent past. It's something that started when the company itself started, and our focus on it and the agenda continues its importance, whether it's in terms of providing women the support in their working environment, or whether it's us supporting them in their personal growth. Most of the women we employ have their own businesses. They are all entrepreneurs. They're teachers while they work. They're mothers. They have their own families. So it's about making sure that they grow both professionally as well as personally, and making sure that whatever we can, in whichever way we can support them, that support is provided.
So let's talk about a few of the challenges first as we get into this conversation, Buddhi. And one of the challenges that are globally recognized, I'm not sure whether there's data to support this in Sri Lanka, but women face an unequal playing field due to how work is structured, and also that is apparently globally at least reflected in the rewards that women get for the same responsibilities as opposed to men who hold the same responsibilities. Take a broad view about accounting, not necessarily about BDO. How do you feel these issues are playing out in Sri Lanka?
Well, Chamindā, when the salaries are decided, the HR in any organization, I think all over the world, would always look at remunerating a gentleman better because of the concept of he is the breadwinner. So being the breadwinner, you are expected to obviously look after the entire family. So then when a female comes with the same equal, let's say, qualifications and experience, but still sometimes, especially when the person is not in a position to demand for the salaries, would obviously be paid lesser. So the concept behind it is the man is more important for a family.
But do you think those notions, those stereotypes that we may have accepted 30, 40 years ago are valid in today's world?
It's definitely not valid, because now the women as well as the men have come to a equal playing field when it comes to marriage as well, where men and women, or the husband and the wife, work together to make sure that the bread is on the table. So in that concept, definitely the women have to be given an equal opportunity.
Chamindā, you work in an industry unlike the one Sajindu is working for, where I think Sajindu, about over 90% of your workforce must be female?
Female, yeah.
Right. I'm guessing that most of Sri Lanka's software services professionals are male. Is that right? I don't know what the gender balance in the industry is generally, right?
So let me correct you there.
Okay.
Our gender balance in software is about, close to 40-60.
Okay.
And the BPM side, it's even high, it's 50-50.
So when you say 40% female...
40% females,
60% males. And in the BPM side, it's almost equal. Right.
And BPM is a lot on finance-related industry as well.
Okay. How does the industry generally view this? And you as a sort of umbrella association that brings the industry together, is the remit of increasing female participation in the industry and also offering equal opportunity for females in the industry something that you see as a primary objective, as an objective?
I think it's different to other industries where the males who work in the industry as well, they are the male champions for us. So there is a focus of growing our industry to bring in females.
Sure.
There's a lot of effort happening in that, making it aware that it's a good industry to be in, and it's a level playing field. We do a salary survey at SLASSCOM,
Okay.
and if you look at how it is categorized, it doesn't say male or female, it's just the level, and it depends on your experience and your qualifications.
Software is not software is not an area that we associate with finance professionals, right? But can you give us an overview of the role finance professionals play in the wider software and BPM industry? Are they a significant number there?
In the leadership, I think there is. There are a lot of techies as well, let's call it. But I think finance, having an understanding of finance helps in every role. So even within a software company, like they also have the business side of it. So you do need to have somebody with financial acumen within the group.
Sajindu, how do you sort of rate in the very large industry that you are in? And you sort of highlighted for us that equal opportunity is something that the group that you work for has championed from the outset. So it's not a new fad that the group is looking at. How would you think that finance professionals, female or male, are relevant to the industry that you work in, and what sorts of opportunities do they have?
I think across all industries, I personally believe that finance is that one thing that connects everything together. In my industry, you can't go in front of the customer and pitch for a product without having an idea of what that means to your company from a bottom line perspective. So essentially, I think it's like that bloodline that connects everything together.
Sure.
And that's why we've, over the years evolved as finance as well. New concepts of finance like business partnering has come into the picture, which was not something that used to happen, 10, 15 years ago. But now finance is essentially blended into within the business itself. And how we view it is it's all about creating value.
While we talk about equal opportunity for irrespective of gender, right? Men and women bring two sorts of strengths to the table, I think, right? Look at that from the lens that you have as a female leader in the manufacturing sector. What do you think women bring to the table that's important, that's different and relevant to the industry?
I think they bring balance, and I think they also bring hope, because like you said, our industry is predominantly women, and for me, seeing another female leader on top inspires me to become that as well. So I think the more you see female leaders emerging, it creates more hope and it creates more confidence and just inspires a whole generation that that could be us too.
Brilliant. Okay, so Buddhi, your industry, accounting, and particularly working for an accounting firm or consulting, I suppose has more female participation than usual. What do you think the challenges are for females in consulting and in accounting in general?
In general, in Asian countries, because now sometimes at BDO we get to deal with other Asian countries, sometimes some of the corporates do not like to take respectful advice from the females.
Right.
So yes, we do have that challenge. So even a pretty face cannot sell sometimes. So one challenge is that. Another challenge is sometimes our physical, how we can go to the field. Because now in the consulting field, it's not a desk job. So sometimes you have to go for factory visits, sometimes you have to go far away and all that. So yes. But those are challenges that not only me, so many other consultants have overcome. But overall, what I would like to say is there are challenges. But I feel that even men have challenges.
So if, I suppose, when you're presenting advice and you're presenting, I think, to a pool of men or women, do you feel there's pushback?
Good question. Because sometimes the negativity comes from other women on the other side. But majority men would like to accept what a female brings out, because like I think Sajindu and Chamindā said, sometimes our advice comes with a little bit of emotion as well as the technicalities.
Sure.
So that is a balance that we women can represent in our advice.
is emotion, or is that, you talked about hope, do you feel that's important in the business context for success?
I think it is because at the end of the day, you're dealing with people, and if you can't connect emotionally, you're never going to be able to deliver success, because you need to have that emotional connect, you need to have that emotional intelligence, which is definitely the changing factor.
If you've experienced dealing with this, right, dealing with pushback when it comes to a woman presenting a potential strategy to an organization or to a group, right, irrespective of who your audience is, what have you learned? How does one sort of face such pushback?
So a pushback can come, as you correctly said, irrespective of your gender. So at that point, so you would have had certain things because you believe in that. So there are, I think, hope and belief of pursuing that same advice to that pushback. So if somebody wants to say negative, so the best is you broaden your presentation. You speak to them, you explain to them, and you have to have the strength to back it up. So if anybody says that if they have presented some sort of a theory or technicality or idea and they were pushed back, that's because they are not ready for presenting that. So I would never say I can be pushed back if I'm ready.
We've talked about the economic crisis Sri Lanka is facing. At least we're having this conversation in the context of an economic crisis facing Sri Lanka, and there's a little bit of uncertainty about how the rest of the world is going to growth in the rest of the world is going to be in 2023. Chamindā, when you look at the skill sets that female professionals with finance qualifications bring to the table, in this context, what of those do you think are more relevant in this context?
Okay, so I think to find a creative solution for any complex issues, you need to have like a multitude of perspectives.
Sure.
On that, and people who have lived through different experiences. So I would say female financial people who have been in finance have, from their personal experience, they would have lived through a lot of issues that they would have managed. So it's not only gender, it has to be the qualifications that you have, the experiences that you have. So as a female from finance, we would say finance as a one word, but we would have all experienced different situations that we would have found solutions to. So if you have one, for example, if everybody is the same, if you have a whole group of finance people in one room, the solution is not going to be as creative as that. So you have to have from different people, and so I think that's what we bring, that uniqueness to the table.
Sajid, if I come to you with the same question, what do you think in the context that we are in Sri Lanka and in the world, in terms of what is happening at the outlook, what do women in finance potentially bring to the table that's valuable in this context, you feel?
I think what they would bring would be, a different attitude sometimes. A different attitude in terms of how you look at challenges also. When you see so much of negativity, when you see so much of, trouble sometimes, what I personally feel is that sometimes women can bring in a little bit of positivity, create a more positive attitude, create a more positive mindset, and I think that can make a world of a difference. And in addition to that, I think the skill set, you can't really question anyone who's doing their role, because whether it's a man or a woman, if they bring in the right skill set, if they have the knowledge, the experience required, then, it's indifferent. But I really think it's the emotional connect, it's the positivity, it's that whole kind of, well-rounded experience that they bring in, that would be the one that makes a difference.
Buddhi, if I can come to you with the same question, what do women bring to the table in finance that is relevant to the context Sri Lanka and the world is in?
Yes, women, I would say, brings in diversity, creativity, and also they would bring in a certain perspective which is important to nurturing. So even at a time of crisis, even at a time of everybody's going through a whole load of negativity, women would like to champion the nurturing, the positivity, unlike a gentleman. Because I guess they are inclined to champion those, and at that point the diversity comes out. So it's a pool of 3 factors that comes in, which ultimately gives a completely different, I would say, brighter perspective to whatever is being considered.
Chamindā, what do you think, and this is a somewhat broad question and not necessarily related to software and software services, but if we put together some ideas about how we can advance women, particularly in finance, into senior management positions in companies, because like you're suggesting, their participation can have many positive impacts on how companies see the environment around them and the future, right? But if there is positive discrimination, we can sort of do virtually, right, to make sure enough women get into those positions. There are many things that are holding them back. Where do we start? How do we tackle this?
I think it's up to the person as well, because the opportunities are out there. What I think as females, what we lack is networking.
Okay.
Maybe because we have other conflicting pressures coming from personal side of it. But I think that's where the men do it well. They network. When you network, you get to know opportunities and people get to know you. So for any female who wants to move up the ladder, I would say be confident in yourself. And go for things. If there are networking events, raise your hand up and go. Might be intimidating at the beginning, and just personal experience. I used to be somebody who used to dislike going into a big room and not knowing people, and then not knowing how to start a conversation. I forced myself to go up to people. There might be people in a group having a conversation, but if it's not a private event, if it's a networking event, be confident enough to go break that group, introduce yourself, and then join the conversation.
Men have designed the world that we live in. So I suppose if you had a hand in sort of changing some aspects of the world of work to also work for females, how would you start addressing that?
We talk about women, always about gender, give the female the opportunities. But I think the males also need to be given opportunities. Like females get maternal leave. Males should be given paternal leave as well, because they are, it's a co-partnership, right? So they need to also take over some of the childcare. I think culturally we are not adjusted to it, but if in an ideal world I was given an opportunity to do that, I will break the division of labor outside work to the males as well, so that the females also have the same opportunities.
Do you feel women in finance have a great opportunity to advance into leadership positions in organizations than, if they had any other qualifications? If you thought so, why would you say it is?
I think we've seen, probably if you compare industries or professions, you've seen more women kind of be successful in roles like finance or what we call, more professional fields. And that might be because professions like that have been able to create that balance where they're able to, like Buddhi said, nurture, care, give, take care of their families while also being successful. But that doesn't mean some of the other professions are, holding them back. I think it's about finding what works for you, and it's about finding what you're truly passionate about. I think the numbers might point to, more women being successful in finance roles, which might be the case because a lot more women might be, numbers oriented, or they might find that as their passion. Whereas, a more manufacturing industry, a more intensive industry might not, suit their personal preferences. So I think it's that. It's about what the profession offers and how you create how you find your place within that profession.
Buddhi, same question to you. In accounting and maybe even consulting, we potentially, looking at it from the outside, it looks like women have greater roles in leadership than in some other industries, in most other industries. Why do you think that's the case?
I partially agree with Sajindu and you, Chamindā, because what I feel is it's not that there are opportunities, but our qualifications and our backgrounds, they have groomed us and they have given us an opportunity to go forward, and the soft skills that we have. So, but in other qualifications, or say fields like maybe engineering or medical faculties, they are more technical. So they do not groom the soft skills in a woman or a man for them to advance.
So that's something that both of you have highlighted, like the soft skills to navigate the environment is something that potential female leaders need the right environment to sort of shine in. Any thoughts on, and as we close, any thoughts on how we can help create such an environment that works for women?
Yes, if we can have opportunities where the female young leaders, maybe just after school, are groomed far better, and maybe they're groomed alongside the males, there would be equal opportunities and the world would benefit.
Any final thoughts from the two of you?
We need more male champions in all our industries. I think finance has a lot of male champions, and that's why we have more females in there. Yeah. So, to all of you all, Chamindā, help us out.
Yeah, and I think it has to be a sustainable journey. It has to have continued commitment, and it starts with each and every one of us. So like she mentioned as well, we need more male champions and we need more female champions. We need to see more female leaders out there, which will help inspire everyone else who's watching, and give them the confidence that, if she got there, I can get there too.
So Buddhi, Sajindu and Chamindā, thank you. That's been a great conversation.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Thank you,
Chamindā.
Chamindā.